Hey, welcome to Digging into the Bible. My name is Jim Barnard. This is a production of Tiller Coaching. All right, this is day 22. Thank you for joining me. Yesterday, we saw how Stephen was stoned to death and how terrible that was, but how Stephen stood strong in the face of that. And today, we're obviously not going to be focusing on Stephen anymore. We've got two new characters to focus on. The first being Saul, this man that we got introduced to yesterday. He is gathering everyone's jackets so that they can go after Stephen. The other character is Philip, who is another of the original deacons, just like Stephen. So we're going to kind of get equal parts of each of these men and kind of a quicker section here today. So we'll probably get done on time, what. But let's go ahead and dig in. This is Acts chapter 8, starting at verse 1. And Saul approved of his execution. And there arose on that day a great persecution against the church in Jerusalem, and they were all scattered throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles. Devout men buried Stephen and made great lamentation over him. But Saul was ravaging the church, and entering house after house, he dragged off men and women and committed them to prison. Now those who were scattered went about preaching the word. Philip went down to the city of Samaria and proclaimed to them the Christ. And the crowds with one accord paid attention to what was being said by Philip when they heard him and saw the signs that he did. For unclean spirits, crying out with a loud voice, came out of many who had them, and many who were paralyzed or lame were healed. So there was much joy in that city. So persecution and joy, those two words don't seem to go together super well. Obviously very contrasting words, and yet they do go together well here in these two stories. After Stephen is stoned to death, the persecution gets pretty real. It ramps up quite a bit, and mainly because of this terrible, vile, wicked man, messed up man, Saul. He is so desperate for a win, and he kind of, it seems like he's on a rampage, right? Verse 3 says, Saul was ravaging the church. Now, I can definitely be a grumpy Gus sometimes, but I've never been on a ravaging rampage before. That's just nothing that ever occurred to me as acceptable or normal or just something I should be a part of. But yet Saul is so desperate for a win. He's so evil. Like, he sounds evil, doesn't he? Like, it's unbelievable. The lengths that he seems to go to shut down the church. He is absolutely not listening to the advice of Gamaliel, who said, just wait, let this flame out, because if it's not of God, that's what's going to happen. And if it is of God, we're going to be found opposing God, and that's not good. And Paul's like, no, I'm going for it. And that's what makes, and I just said Paul, that's what makes this character Saul. We'll see him as Paul later. This character's transformation that starts in the next chapter, in chapter 9, so remarkable. Such a crazy story. I can't wait to share that with you, but we'll save that for then. But Saul, this is a funny example. Like, to me, like, I get this picture of like Liam Neeson taking out everyone and anyone who's in his way of finding his daughter who's been taken, right? The movie Taken. The only difference is Saul doesn't have a daughter. He's just taking out anyone and everyone. Maybe we could cast this movie and we could get Liam Neeson to play the role of Saul. I think that would be beautiful typecasting for that movie. I think it would crush. So Jerusalem is a wreck because of what Saul is doing. Now, contrast that. Meanwhile, in Samaria, Philip is doing the exact opposite of causing wreckage. As an original deacon, his job is to take care of people's needs, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's doing it like relentlessly. He is doing it with passion, doing it so well. We're going to see more from him tomorrow about him taking care of people's needs. The outcome of his action in Samaria is joy. It said here in verse 8, so there was much joy in that city. So it's kind of the tale of two cities. We've got Jerusalem, that's a complete wreck, and then Samaria, that's full of so much joy. So with that, I look forward to sharing with you about what Philip continues to do over the next couple days. It's so good. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue on with Acts chapter 8. I'll see you then.